We started selling a lot more every day just by starting to sell on Amazon. I think memes are so popular because in a few seconds you can consume, a message. People like to laugh. Fortunately, the game became very popular very quickly.
Initial thought was like, let's expand this game, let's make it bigger.
We kind of always had in the back of our minds that there is an appetite for these sort of products, not just in the US. People all around the world love to consume memes, and Amazon has made it pretty easy for us to expand to Canada, Europe. We actually just launched in Australia. Those are dollars that we weren't capturing earlier. The same rules that apply for FBA here in the US apply in Canada and apply in Europe too, which is great for us because we don't speak German, we don't speak French, we don't speak Italian. So when there's an issue with the shipping, return, Amazon, as part of FBA, handles that for us. It makes the customer support really seamless and hands-off on our end. None of us had ever made a board game. Our goal was to create a global brand. If you're passionate enough, just don't think you can't. Just keep taking steps forward, and if you want it bad enough, you'll learn how to do it.
Great. So as you can see, we've built several tools and solutions that will help you go global. And as you go through this session, I want you to be thinking about how you can develop your global strategy plan. You're going to be thinking about where you want to go and what products you want to sell there and what tools can you use to help you do that. And then I really want you to think about how to use those tools to help you build your new global business into that thriving global business. So I'm going to start out and talk about the opportunity that Amazon can provide when you go global with Amazon. Then my colleague Rochelle will come out and talk about some of the specific tools and solutions that you can use. And then we'll end with a Q&A. All right, so you saw this graph this morning when Mark had put this up, and it's talking about the future of e-commerce. And the reason I want to put this up again is it's very relative to today's session on expanding your business internationally. And it's a good reminder that if you're only selling domestically, there's 80% of the worldwide e-commerce sales that you're not taking advantage of. And so I want you to start thinking of your customer base not in the terms of US or those customers that are buying off of Amazon.com, but globally, that customer base that's available to you. Now, one of the key benefits of using Amazon to go global is that you will immediately reach millions of customers outside of the US. You're all selling on Amazon.com because you know that's a big opportunity. What you might not realize is that selling on our European and Japanese marketplaces are sizable as well in their own right. And so when you're selling on Amazon, you're able to reach 300 million active customers in 180 countries. And that's over 180 countries, which is a lot more than the 13 marketplaces that Amazon runs today. And I'm going to talk in a minute about what those marketplaces are and how you reach those customers in 180 countries. Now, many of you might not know that in 2017, more than a quarter of revenue on Amazon globally was cross-border. That was up 50% from the prior year. And the more importantly is those customers, just like in the US, that you're selling to globally are loyal Prime customers. And you heard this morning talking about why Prime is so important. Because this is a super powerful brand that translates into world-class customer service and fulfillment. And so just like in the US, when you use FBA to go global, we're going to help you with that fulfillment and customer service. That means we're going to talk to customers in their own language, and we're going to help with international returns. So let's take a minute and talk about those marketplaces. So we have 13 Amazon marketplaces that you can actively list and sell in. In North America, there's 3, US, Canada, and Mexico. In Europe, we have 5. Which is UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. We also have marketplaces in Japan, China, India, and most recently Brazil and Australia. Now each marketplace has international customers that are coming to that marketplace and shopping. And that's what gets you to customers that are in over 180 countries. Now, each marketplace is going to have its own pros and cons of selling in it. And this is in terms of accessibility and opportunity. So for example, marketplaces like India and China and Brazil might be difficult for you to sell into because of government regulations that you might need to meet. Whereas UK and Canada are fairly accessible, but are very different from an opportunity size, where UK is a much larger opportunity than Canada. The point here is, as you think about where you want to go next in your global strategy, you're going to want to weigh the pros and cons of these marketplaces so you can decide which one is the best one to take your products into. I'm going to take a minute and talk about Europe specifically and expanding into Europe. And the reason is because there are some key benefits that Europe will provide, and it's one of the more popular ones that our sellers like to expand into as part of their global strategy. So I mentioned that there's 5 marketplaces that allows you to reach tens of millions of customers across 31 countries. And a benefit of selling in Europe is they have a different holiday and peak season than the US. That lets you untie yourselves from the seasonality of the US and can strengthen your cash flow throughout the year. Also, if you are leveraging FBA to sell there, you're letting Amazon handle that customer service and fulfillment so that you can focus on the activities that will let you grow your business. And lastly, many of the products that are being sold on Amazon.com are not yet being sold in Europe. So there is an early adopter advantage when you're expanding. So a couple of data points I want to share with you to just highlight how helping sellers go global is a strategic imperative for Amazon. We have been investing a lot in the last few years in order to build these tools to help you. And in 2017 alone, we invested billions of dollars in infrastructure and technical services that help small and medium businesses reach customers around the world. And that's a huge investment. And it should be noted that we're not investing in tools for large corporations. We're investing in tools for you, the small and medium and entrepreneur businesses that are looking to go global. And in 2017, our global sellers' sales grew more than 50% worldwide. And they represented more than 25% of the total third-party seller sales on Amazon. As you heard this morning, half the items that are purchased on Amazon are coming from small and medium-sized businesses. That's half. And FBA has shipped billions of items for small and medium businesses worldwide just in 2017. These are the results that make us continue to invest in this initiative because we want to help you get that 80% worldwide e-commerce sales. So you might be saying, this sounds fantastic and the opportunity sounds really great, but selling globally is really complicated and it's really scary. I have to think about international tax and regulations and shipping and languages and currency, and that's just a lot and it's really hard. And you are right, selling globally is going to add complexity to your business, but that's where Amazon has come in to help streamline these processes and make it easier for you. The tools that we have available to you will minimize and in some cases even eliminate that complexity. Let's see how a seller used some of these tools to help their business expand globally.
When I started Pluggable, the goal really was to answer this question of could we build a better device company? But as we started succeeding, as our product line grew, we realized, well, we're doing great in the United States. We'd love to be able to reach the rest of the world. My name is Bernie Thompson. I'm the founder of Pluggable Technologies. We sell all kinds of devices that basically allow you to connect this with that. diversification across markets is important because then we kind of give each of the products that we do multiple chances to succeed in multiple markets around the world. So as you're looking at expanding outside of the US, Amazon already has a well-established customer base there. So I've got a huge audience of consumers who are already used to buying on Amazon, who are already searching on Amazon, who are going to come to my products. Prior to Amazon, being able to take a product, take a brand that you've launched in the US to Europe was extremely hard, a lot of barriers. As soon as Amazon launched in Europe, a lot of those barriers went down. We started with the UK, but we wanted to reach as much of Europe as we could, and Amazon provided a number of kind of great options to reach customers throughout Europe. One of those options is the European Fulfillment Network. We could simply translate and create listings in Germany, in France, in Spain, in other countries. And when somebody would go to Amazon.de in Germany and order the product, without us having to do a thing, Amazon would ship those goods and serve those customers. Kind of before Amazon, this was by far the hardest problem about reaching a global audience. And this particular part of the problem is completely solved by Amazon FBA. It's just amazing what Amazon has done in terms of enabling small companies to be able to sell globally. Each year, Amazon introduces new services and new programs that kind of attack the pain points of sellers. And today, one of the good things that Amazon has done is they've developed a solution provider network so that you kind of have a menu of known solution providers to choose from and to work with, regulation and taxes and import-export, that give a relatively small team the scale that make us be able to operate like a large company globally. Being able to offer our product around the world has enabled us to move from being a relatively small US-based company to a global brand with global reach. And as a small company, that's really exciting.
He is going to come and join us at the end for Q&A and answer a couple of questions about his global strategy. You can also find him at our booths, the Expand to Europe and Expand to Japan booths, immediately after this session, if you have more questions that you want to talk to him about. And so let's talk about his seller journey. So he took a gradual linear approach. He launched in UK in 2011, then Canada in 2012, then the rest of Europe and Japan in 2013, and then Mexico in 2016. He built a strategic plan where he thought about where he wanted to go, which products he wanted to take there, and how he wanted to sell. He built a thriving and successful business in one marketplace at a time before going to the next. It was a very deliberate approach, which I love. So think about your own global strategy based on your business needs. Think about the products you want to sell and the pace that you want to go. And there's no right or wrong way of doing this. And most of you, your strategies are not going to look the same as the person next to you. I've seen sellers do this in all sorts of different ways. I've seen sellers go into Europe all at once. I've seen sellers go into UK and Canada first, and then other languages. I've seen sellers go directly into Japan, because that's what made most sense for their products. So the point is, like Bernie, you want to identify the right strategy for your business, and then find the tools that Amazon has and leverage them to expand at the pace that you want. Now, great news is, because you're already selling on Amazon.com using FBA, you are already reaching international customers. Customers from all over the world are coming to Amazon.com, and they are able to find your products and purchase them. Amazon is handling the complexity of this international sale. We're figuring out which products are eligible for import and export, and then the customer is paying the import and duties and taxes and the international shipping. So it's truly a friction-free global selling experience for you as a seller, because there's no additional costs or complexities in order to reach these international customers. I bring this program up because it's a great first step of your strategic plan. You can use these sales as a demand signal on where you might want to go and which products. So when you go to Seller Central and you look at your Amazon Fulfilled Orders report, under the Fulfillment by Amazon reports, if you scroll over to the right, there is a column that has customer country. You should go look at this country and see where customers are coming from and buying which products. So let's say, for example, you have products that a lot of customers are coming from Germany to purchase. You may want to use this as a signal of taking those products and listing them directly into Germany so that the customer can find them in their native shopping experience on Amazon.de. And the reason is because although these customers are coming to .com and finding your products, they're not getting all the benefits of Prime eligibility and fast delivery and the free shipping. So if you are able to go and list that directly in the marketplace that they would shop in, they can get those products in a fast time for free and really realize those Prime benefits. So now Rochelle is going to come up and talk to you about what it takes to sell directly in one of these marketplaces, including what to think about as you start researching which products that you are going to want to offer, as well as the tools that Amazon can provide for you. Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Marjorie. So what I'm going to talk through is the 5 steps that you're going to need to think through as you start thinking about building your business globally. And so we're going to talk through how you think about researching the opportunities in new marketplaces. We're going to talk through how you register to sell in new marketplaces, how you get your products listed and available for customers all over the world to purchase them, how you think about fulfilling those orders using Amazon's fulfillment solutions, and finally, how you think about getting paid. But just before we get into that, I want to share something with you that my team have been working on for the last sort of over a year probably, that the team are really excited about. And so what we've continued to hear from sellers like you in forums like this is that I understand that you guys have put all this information that I would need to understand how to sell globally across Seller Central, but it's all spread out and it's in really disparate places. And I'm struggling to understand what step I need to take next. And is there a right order to take these steps in? So what we've done is we've built something that we call the Global Expansion Wizard. You can access it from the Sell Globally page. And what it does is it's a guided workflow that talks you through the different steps that you need to go through to be set up to be selling internationally. So we would love to hear any feedback. If anyone in this room has already used that, we'd love to hear what you thought of it. And if you do go ahead and use it, again, we'd love to get feedback from you guys on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through individually each of the steps that you're going to need to go through to be set up and selling your products across the world. So the first one is research. And so when you started your business in the US, you probably did a ton of research. You looked into what is the right prices that I should set for my products? How do I think about things like my competitors and what the competitive landscape is? How do I think about things like where am I going to source my products from? And so when you're thinking about expanding internationally, many of those topics are going to be the same, and you're going to need to go through some similar research. But some things are slightly different about selling internationally. So while there are some things about customers that are the same, that we believe that customers everywhere really like to receive low prices, and we believe customers like to get things delivered to them quickly, there are a couple of examples that I'm going to share with you about how customer preferences can be a bit different around the world. So one of these comes from Kindle. And I'm sure most people here have a Kindle. I know I've been through probably 3 or 4 in my life. And my Kindle, like most people's, is black. When we went to launch the Kindle in China in 2013, Amazon was going to sell into the Chinese market the same Kindle that we sell here in the US and we sell it in Europe. And we launched this. And what we found was that it wasn't selling particularly well. And the teams didn't really understand why, because Kindle's been a super successful product around the world. And so as the Kindle teams looked into this and they did a ton of research, what they found was that the Chinese customers didn't really like the black background that's around the Kindle, and it didn't really resonate with them. And so what Amazon did was we launched a Kindle that's actually white. And that is the best-selling item in China. And so that's just an example of how you need to think about researching what are different customer preferences in different countries. So you're also likely asking questions like, what am I allowed to sell in other marketplaces? Do I need to list? Do I need to have restrictions on my products written in Japanese, in German, for example? Do I have to pay taxes? And the fact that you're asking these questions is great because it shows that you're really thinking deeply about your expansion journey. And so some of these topics you can research on your own. You can research on the internet. You can research on Seller Central. But there's going to be a number of topics where you're likely to think, gosh, I'd really like some more help with that. And so as Bernie talked about in his video, if you want help, Amazon hosts a directory of third-party service providers that can help you with all your international selling needs at every stage of your expansion journey. The Solution Provider Network, which again you can find in Seller Central under the Sell Globally tab, is a list of 100 different providers, all of whom have been vetted by Amazon and can help you with things from tax to compliance to international shipping to things like optimizing your advertising. So let me give you a couple of examples here. So maybe you're thinking, I'm really sold on this whole international expansion idea. This sounds great, but I don't know whether there are different labeling requirements into Japan, for example. And we've got compliance solution providers who can help you to find an answer to questions like that. If you're thinking, I really want to ship my products into the EU, but I don't even know where to start, we've got international logistics providers and customs brokers who can help you with topics like that. Solution Provider Network, like I said, is in Seller Central. And as we built this out, what we tried to do was we tried to make the experience really similar to the one that, as an Amazon customer, you enjoy when you're shopping on the Amazon website. So we have search. We have things like customer ratings, customer reviews, and through the Solution Provider Network, you can reach out to all of the providers and start engaging with them. The one thing I would ask from you guys is that if you're finding things like the ratings and the reviews valuable, these come from the fellow sellers that use these tools. So these are coming from the guys that are sitting next to you in this room right now. So what I would ask is, this is very much a community, and so if you guys are using the Solution Provider Network, please leave us ratings and reviews, because that helps other sellers when they're thinking about expanding. So you've done your research, you've thought about your strategic plan, and you've decided where you want to sell. The next thing you're going to want to do is register for an account in either Europe or Japan. And so you can do this, again, there's a couple of ways you can do this. The first one is by going, again, to the Amazon Sell Globally pages. And there we have links where you can expand your business. They say expand your business into either Europe or Japan. And what you'll do is you'll use the username and password that you use for your US account today. The other way that you can do this is you can simply go through any of the marketing emails that we send, or you can go straight to sellcentral.co.jp, for example. If you enter the username and password that you're using in the US, what that will do is it will join your accounts together. And this has a couple of benefits. Firstly, a number of the tools and the products I'm going to talk to you about today require you to have linked these accounts together. We need to know that you're the same person in different regions for us to be able to offer you a whole set of tools. Another couple of benefits are you're going to get access to a ton of aggregated data. So you're going to be able to see when you first log into Seller Central, you're going to get a new bar that's going to appear at the top of your account, and it's going to show you a set of aggregated metrics from across your business. So you'll be able to see at an instant snapshot things like, what are the total global number of orders you've had? How many outstanding buyer messages do you have? And which ones of those need urgently answering in the next 24 hours? And then you'll be able to click on each one of these different metrics and then dive into each of the country data. So, as we go out and we talk to people like you, we get a couple of questions about these registration topics that I want to cover here. So the first one is, hey, this whole concept of linking your accounts sounds great, but I already have an existing account and they're not linked together. Is there anything that I can do about this? It's relatively simple. Again, it's on the Sell Globally page, and you'll go there, and there's an option to link two existing accounts together. The other thing you can do, which I think is a ton simpler, is if you're in your browser and you're already logged into sellercentral.com, and you open a new window in the same browser, and you type, that will instantly trigger a question to you that says, would you like us to join these accounts together? The second one is my inventory affected if I link my accounts together? The answer there is no. Your inventory in the US remains your US inventory, and your inventory in Europe, again, remains your European inventory. So you've done your research, you've completed registration, you've provided us with any additional information that we might need from you to get your accounts set up in either Japan or in Europe. And now you're going to go through and think about, how do I get my product set up in another marketplace? Now, I'm going to give you a health warning as we go into some of these slides. As you can probably hear from my accent, I'm not from around here. And so all of these slides I'm going to show you are my seller account. And so they're all from Amazon, sellercentral.co.uk. So yours will look ever so slightly different. So when you're ready to create your listings and create your products in other marketplaces, we built a tool for you called Build International Listings, which again is on the Sell Globally page in Seller Central. And what this does with a couple of clicks is it enables you to create your selection in other marketplaces. We take the products that you're already selling. You tell us rules about which products you'd like us to create in other marketplaces and how you'd like us to price them. And we'll do the rest, including continuing to make adjustments for foreign exchange. This is essentially like a set of preferences. And so as you continue to add new products into your US catalog and you continue to update your prices, we'll ensure that those flow through into other marketplaces. So if you set this up one day and on the next day you go and create a brand new product that you're super proud of, we will automatically go and create that offer for you in the other marketplaces that you've told us you want to sell in. So let's go through a detailed example of how this works. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to have joined your accounts. You're going to have to have joined your accounts together, just like we talked about in the previous slide. And then you're going to select what we call a home or a source marketplace. Now, I think for most of you, that's going to be the US. This is where I gave a health warning. This is my account, and that's why it's based in amazon.co.uk. But for most of you, this is probably going to say amazon.com in that corner. And so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, what are the countries where I want to sell? And so here what we're saying is what we're going to pick is we're going to pick Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. You're going to tell us whether you want us to create offers that are just your new selection, or if you're also a seller of used items, whether you want us to also create your used catalog as well. And then you're going to tell us, okay, of those products, I'd like you to create just my listings that I currently have that are in fulfillment by Amazon, or whether you'd like us to create all of your products, so even the ones that you guys are fulfilling yourselves. So once you've told us where you want to sell, the next thing is tell us how you'd like us to price those items. So again, you've got a couple of choices here. The first one is, would you like us to just take your list price, or would you like us to also create sales across the different countries when you're having a sale in your home country? So for example, if you say, hey, I'd really like you to create my list prices and my sale prices, and in the US you decide you're going to discount your items for a period of 2 weeks, that discount is going to flow through into all the other countries that you're selling in. The next thing you're going to do is tell us the pricing rule that you'd like us to set up. Now, like I said, this is my European account, and most people expanding in Europe, so over 50% of sellers, what we see is that they set their prices the same across Europe. And so what that means is if I'm setting my prices in the UK, and I say, hey, set my prices the same across Europe, I've got something that's for sale for £10, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust that into euros and then create that as your price across the rest of Europe. And then any changes, like I said, that I make to my pricing in the UK or your pricing in the US would flow through to the other countries. One of the important things to note here is if the US is your home country, you're going to need to think through how you adjust your prices to account, especially in Europe, for sales tax. In Europe, sales tax is added in the price. It's not added to the customer at checkout. So that's just something you're going to need to consider as you go through setting your prices. So build international listings. It's a really simple yet powerful tool that's really helping to simplify the steps of how you expand internationally. So again, we hear a couple of questions that come up all the time as we're talking to sellers about how to use this tool. The first one is, if the product listing hasn't been created, does this tool create listings for me? So the answer there is no, we don't. The tool will create offers where a listing already exists. But I'm sure, as many of you know, firstly, there's a couple of ways that you can create these listings yourself. One is if you've got your information about your US products, you can go and create those yourself straight away into one of the other marketplaces. As I'm sure you know, Amazon proactively creates millions and millions of product detail pages every day. And so if we have already proactively created one, we'll connect your offer to that. And then if we haven't, there's a couple of options you can pick. We host a service within Seller Central called Translate Your Products, where you can come to us and you can ask us to translate something. And we will either machine translate it or we'll ask a human to translate it, depending on what you'd like. Or again, you can use the solution provider network that we talked about earlier. Once the detail page has been created, we will automatically then add your offers to this. So you don't need to think about doing anything else. The next question that we hear a lot is, I have a ton of great ratings on my products in the US, and I've got a lot of reviews from customers. Will these carry over into other marketplaces? They don't. The reason that they don't is that Amazon thinks that customers everywhere have slightly different preferences, so that's why we don't carry them over. The one thing I would say here is that there are times when if you do not have customer reviews in another country, we will occasionally show some of the US reviews until you get up to 5 reviews. So you've done your research, you've registered, you've got your listing set up, and now you need to think about, how am I going to fulfill all of my orders using Amazon's global fulfillment solutions? So let's talk about Europe for a bit, where we've got a variety of different fulfillment solutions that you can use. And depending on where you are on your expansion journey, you might take advantage of each of these at some point in your selling lifecycle. So for those of you who are already selling on Amazon using FBA, you know that you can ship your products to Amazon's global fulfillment centers, and we'll take care of the rest. We'll pick the items for you, we'll pack them, we'll ship them off to our customers, and we'll also provide customer service in local languages 24/7. So there's a couple of different ways you can use FBA in Europe, and I'm going to go through each one individually. But the thing that you really need to remember from this is the differences between these are about the different countries we can store your inventory in, the different fees you might pay, and then whether or not you'd like your product to be Prime badged in each country. So, one way to start using fulfillment by Amazon in the EU is to choose which countries you'd like to ship your products to. We'll store your inventory in that country, and then we can fulfill both domestic and cross-border orders from that inventory that you've sent us. So an example here would be you send your inventory into the UK. There's a customer, they're on amazon.co.uk, and when they order it, they see the product as being Prime badged. When they order it, we'll ship it from your UK inventory, and you'll be charged the UK fulfillment fee. A customer shopping on amazon.de, they can order this. They won't see this as being Prime badged, but we will ship it to Germany, to the German customer, from your UK inventory. This is what Bernie talks about in his video when he talks about utilizing the European fulfillment network to expand his business. So you can choose to send your inventory to us in one country or in multiple countries. It's entirely up to you, and you can continue to evolve this as you expand your business. So for example, you might say, hey, I'm gonna send my inventory into the UK, and then you might see you're getting a lot of orders from customers in Germany, and the next time you send us inventory, you might decide, hey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send inventory into both countries. This really is something that you can continue to adapt as you expand your business. If you'd like to be Prime badged across the whole of Europe, we have a product called Pan-European FBA. And what this means is that you get to be, like I said, you get Prime badging in each of the countries, and you get to pay the local fulfillment fee. So you always know what fee you're going to pay. You send your inventory to us, and we then distribute it across our network and make it available for sale for the millions of customers across Europe. So you might be thinking, these all sound great. How do I take advantage of some of these programs? And how do I know which is the right one for me? So partly this comes down to the research point that we talked about earlier. It's really key for you to do your research and understand which ones of our products might be right for you. You'll need to create your accounts and link them together. You're going to have to create your listings. And then finally, you're going to ship us your inventory. And then any inventory that you ship to us, one of the most important points I want you to take away from this is within Europe, any inventory you send to us can be used to fulfill orders from across Europe. So we're super excited by these programs. We think they really simplify for sellers like you how you can think about expanding internationally. So a couple of questions. Firstly, how do I ship my products from North America? I've got my products. They're sitting here. They're in my warehouse in the US. How do I get these into Europe, for example? So Amazon doesn't ship these items for you. You'll need to reach out to an international logistics provider, and the solution provider network will be a great place for you to research and find one. Another one that we hear a lot, and I know that there's been a ton of questions to the guys who've been in the Sell in Europe booth outside, is do I need to have a VAT registration number to take advantage of fulfillment? So I would say VAT is complex. I am not a tax advisor, but at a minimum, you need to be VAT registered in the countries that you are sending inventory into. And again, the solution provider network will help you to find a tax advisor. So we know that international logistics is complicated, and we continue to build solutions for you which will reduce the complexity of you managing your global inventory. And again, as we talked about a couple of times in this presentation, we'd love to hear from you about what would be the most impactful things we could build in this space for your business. So the final step, you have done your research, you've registered, you've listed, you've sent us your inventory, we've sold through your inventory, and now you want to get paid. Amazon offers a currency conversion service which saves you from having to, for example, open a local bank account in Japan and think about how you manage Japanese yen. You can provide us with your US bank account and or a bank account in any country. We support currently about 40 different currencies, and we can then give you back your money in US dollars or whichever currency you prefer. So there's a couple of things before we bring out Bernie and have some Q&A that I'd really like you guys to take away from this presentation. So the first one is Amazon has 300 million active customers worldwide from 180 countries, which makes selling globally a huge opportunity and a great way for you to think about expanding your business. One of the first things we recommend you do is think about your global strategy. And like we've talked about previously, your strategy is going to be really different likely from the person that's sat next to you in this room. And then when you're ready, all of our selling tools and our guided workflow are available for you at amazon.com/expand and on our Sell Globally pages. And there's one thing I want to note here is that what I've done in this presentation is focused very much on some of the easiest and fastest path routes to expanding internationally. But we have a ton of tools available that can help you. And so I encourage you to continue to go to our pages to learn about all of the different tools that are available for you.